Welcome into Eye on Northeast Kansas, the podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Bruner. This is where you can hear some of the top guests we've had over the past week on Eye on Northeast Kansas, the TV show. You can catch that Monday through Friday, 4 o'clock Central Time, streaming live on WIBW.com from our studios in the city of Topeka, the capital of Kansas. We have something special for you on this week's podcast. Since we are in the capital of Kansas, we do regularly get to meet and greet and interview some of our state officials. That includes the Kansas Insurance Commissioner, Vicki Schmidt. Vicki has been the Commissioner of Insurance. She's in her second term now. Before that, she served in the Kansas legislature as a state senator. She is a pharmacist by trade, and earlier during the summer months, Commissioner Schmidt announced publicly that she had been diagnosed with breast cancer. It was diagnosed through a routine mammogram, and then over the past week, she issued a statement on her social media accounts that she had finished treatment and was cancer-free. She sat down with us this week for a one-on-one conversation, her first interview since her diagnosis, to talk about her journey and why she decided to share this battle publicly.
Start with the basics. How are you doing?
I am doing great. I am very thankful to be on this side of the journey, and I'm really doing well.
Take me back to the beginning of that journey. When were you diagnosed and how did it happen?
Well, I was diagnosed the Friday before Memorial Day weekend. I got notified through through my chart, and they send you the text message that you have a new test result, and actually I'd had the biopsy done on Thursday, and I figured, oh, this is negative, because if it was positive, there would be other testing that they'd need to do on the specimen, and so I was just sure it was negative, and then it was not.
Did it say that in my chart in those black and white terms? Mm-hmm. You have breast cancer, or mm-hmm. was it you have a medical background and you kind of knew what the wording meant?
Oh no. It said you have cancer, and and went into more detail about how many specimens they'd taken and that they'd tested, and there was no doubt. There would have been no doubt in anybody's mind that they had cancer when they read it, and that was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday. So
where were you and who was with you reading it?
Right in this office. And I went and got Mandy, my chief of staff, and said, read this. And I think you're kind of in shock a little bit, and decided that I probably should get home and share that news with my family and see what was going to happen next. And then I did receive a call from my primary care later that evening, who knew that I had. She could tell that I had opened the email and read the result, and started making some contacts with people for treatment and reassurance. And I was really lucky to reach out to some good friends and good people at KU Cancer Center, and they tried to put me at ease, obviously, and, treatable. We're going to take care of it. And there was enough information in that path report for them to understand that without me Googling.
I didn't have to do that.
No.
This was a regular mammogram.
Yeah, I just had a routine mammogram in April. And I got called back the first time because there was a suspicious area. That's happened to me before, and probably happened to many of your viewers before. You go back in, you have the targeted one or whatever they've prescribed, and I went in and had that done. And then the next one was we need to do a biopsy, and that's when kind of get a little more concerned about it.
So you had concerns, but when you actually read that email, and you're in your office by yourself.
Yeah, your heart kind of stops, and you think, I don't know, you think about a lot of things, but in a short amount of time. But, then it was like, okay, now I have to do whatever they tell me I need to do and get treatment and just take care of it.
What was treatment like for you?
Well, enlightening in some ways, I've had friends that have gone through treatment and been supportive to them, I thought. And I hope now that I'm even more supportive to people that, after you've lived through it, and to give them hope and to give them kind of some nuts and bolts about what's going to happen next. because it's pretty frightening when you don't know what's going to happen next. A long time ago, when I was in pharmacy school, I actually did an oncology rotation as part of my training. Some of the same drugs that we use today are still being used, or some of the drugs we used back then are still being used today. So, I mean, I did not have chemotherapy, and so I didn't have to really worry about that aspect of it. But I had surgery and radiation, and it's a pretty humbling experience, I'd say.
What did you find most humbling about it?
Well, just the fact that you have cancer kind of knocks you down a few things, but honestly, the support of the people here in Kansas and beyond, when the news broke, I mean, it's not something that most people don't share their medical history, their medical problems with people. Well, they do if you go to your reunion or something, but I mean, you don't, it's not the first thing you talk about with somebody. And I, as a public figure, I did not want the gossip to be going around. I figured that I wanted to control the message. And I think that was very important for me. It was a tough decision to go public with it, though. I mean, that's really made me very vulnerable to things that I probably had never experienced before. But honestly, it was the best thing I've ever done, because I know that people have reached out that, COVID did a lot of things to people in their medical, taking care of themselves, and getting a mammogram was one of them, that some people just didn't do it during them. And I know a couple of people that had mammograms done after had told me, I scheduled my mammogram, and 2 of them were diagnosed with breast cancer. So I don't doubt that it was the right thing to do, but it also made people very aware, and that I know it sounds kind of cliche, but the love that I felt from people, and by the text messages, the emails, the cards, the packages that arrived, it was very humbling. And I didn't even think I knew that many people. So it was lots of words of encouragement. Some inappropriate cards that made me just laugh so hard when I got them, because everybody means well, and but some people have a harder time expressing that than others. And anyway, it was, it's just a part of the fabric of my life now, and I'm I hope that I can make a difference in someone else's life, and get your mammogram. And I was very fortunate. I had great support at home. My husband took great care of me. I'll tell you, the day after surgery, I walked out of the bedroom and I felt so good. I said, I'm going to go in the bedroom and get dressed, and you can drive me to work, because I know I can't drive today. So you can drive me to work. And he said, turn around. You're not going to work. You're on a steroid high, and tomorrow you're not going to feel so hot. And truer words were never spoken, so I didn't get to make it into work that day. But I had a good support group from work, from my family, and I had health insurance, and I had a great medical care team. I mean, KU Cancer Center, to have an NCI designation, not only an NCI designation, but the Comprehensive Cancer Center designation right down the road from us, is such a blessing. I mean, it is. I hope people know what a jewel that is to us, because when you would go in for a visit, they would greet you and they would say things like, "We're so glad you're here today. Thanks for letting us be a part of your treatment." It's like, okay, yeah, I don't know that an office has ever told me that before. But somehow or other, you need that reassurance when you're going through this journey. And that was great.
You have a unique perspective, and I'd like to ask kind of maybe if it's changed at all, because you have a medical background. You've dealt with insurance in terms of being on the consumer end of it.
Yeah.
You're the one who takes people's insurance, finds out what things are covering. You're the state's insurance commissioner. What did you learn about insurance that you didn't realize before?
Well, I learned that communication between the insurance company and the provider is very important, and that it's very important that accuracy is there, that you know, people are getting the right information. I'd say some of the processes are a little hard to understand as a consumer. We deal with this here at the office every day, but I think that it's a stress that I don't want anyone to have. You're busy enough trying to make sure you're doing okay, and so it's kind of I hope that insurance companies and providers work together so that the patient isn't overly burdened by worrying about how to interpret some of the things that are billed for and how that happens.
Will it change or reinforce some of the priorities you have in this office now?
Oh, I think we might have some conversations with both providers and insurance companies, and just like observations from us. I mean, can't mandate that they change some of those things, but I do think that once you've gone through it, when you go to the doctor, I mean, it's not hard to, well, I shouldn't say it's not hard to, but most of the time people understand when they go to the doctor what the bill means and what, but when you have surgery or when you have radiation, and there's a lot of moving parts there for billing, and it's a complicated process.
What about insuring coverage in the first place? Because most insurance companies will cover the screening mammogram.
Sure.
Some of those follow-ups?
Yeah, that's those are decisions that the mammogram is covered by the ACA rules. So that's with insurance and things. So that's one thing. But the follow-ups are. There's some work that might need to be done or could be considered. That's a legislative decision. We will enforce whatever the legislature tells us to do. But there's all kind of different follow-ups also. So depending on what your journey looks like, with whether that's breast cancer or any type of an initial screening that shows cancer. I mean, there are a lot of different. There are a lot of different things to consider.
Right. There's a lot of new research and things coming out too. We've heard a lot recently about women with dense breast tissue, and is the regular mammogram enough for them, or should they ask questions about getting higher levels of screening? But if you don't have the coverage, if you don't have an insurance company that's going to be willing to have a conversation with you, what can your office do maybe to facilitate some of those conversations? And in what position do people need to understand that you're kind of in?
Well, I think that's a great question. It's kind of difficult to answer in some ways. I'm famous for saying here that we need to stay in our lane. We don't legislate from this office. We only enforce the laws on the books that the legislature has passed. But on the other hand, if legislators want information from us about some of the consumer complaints that we get or some of the things that we're seeing, we keep those statistics and we keep those stories here. And so we're happy to provide the background if somebody wanted to pursue a different coverage or additional coverage, we have that information to share with them.
So to what extent would you encourage women to reach out to your office if they're having some of these questions or concerns or issues?
Oh, I want them to reach out to our office on any insurance issue. I mean, we're the best kept secret in Kansas, and I don't want to be the secret. I mean, I want people. I mean, if you have an auto insurance claim, if you have hail damage on your roof, you have any type of insurance issue. If you have long-term care issues, if you have life insurance issues, and certainly health issues in your medical care. We want to hear from you. If you're having issues, we want to hear from you. And I also want to stress that they're not always complaints, but sometimes they're just inquiries. of just not understanding your policy or not understanding what the company is communicating back to you. Those aren't always complaints. Those are sometimes just, I need some additional information. We're happy to help with that. And that's what we're here to do. That's why this office exists.
How much work did you actually miss during all of this?
Well,
if you were going to come the day after surgery.
Well, I mean, it kind of depends. Like if physically being here, I was probably out about a week and a half. I think that's about right. But I did have my laptop at home, and there may have been one person in my house that threatened to hide the power cord, but he didn't. But I that's a good news about communicate. I mean, I believe in communication, and good communication has to happen in order for good things to happen. And I was available by phone and for if they needed something. But honestly, I am incredibly fortunate to have a really good staff here, and I don't want to say they don't need me, because that would make me feel kind of bad about myself, but they know what to do, and they didn't miss a step, and I'm so proud of the job they do each and every day. But they know what they're doing, and it's really a privilege to work with a staff like this.
All the professional aside, what did you learn about yourself personally through this journey?
That I'm not a very good person to follow rules when it's about self-care. I needed a compliance officer at home, which I had, so thank you. But I think that I thought I'll just breeze right through this. This isn't going to affect me, and it does, and it will affect me the rest of my life, I'm pretty sure. But it's just part of me now, and I want to be as supportive as I can to anyone that's going through this journey, and to just encourage people, get the mammogram. I mean, it saves lives. There's no doubt about it. Preventative care is worth it, and everybody gets busy, and I don't want to, I got to make that appointment. It doesn't feel particularly good to have the test done, but go do it, because it could save your life. And early detection is so important. I was so fortunate to have it be detected early and to have it be treatable.
What message would you like to leave with women who are just starting their journeys?
Just trudge on through it. I mean, there are ups and downs, but you just need to, just don't give up and do what they say, and just continue on, because there are self-doubt. I mean, there's a lot. There are some times when you think like, oh man, I don't want to go in and have another radiation treatment today. I don't want to. I don't know. I don't want to finish it. I don't want to. Please do. The science is there. The Cancer Center knows what they're doing, and if they recommend it, follow through with it. But don't lose hope, and just know that at the end of it, hopefully you'll be doing an interview with Melissa Bruner.
Anything else that you wanted to share?
No, I just really want to thank everyone who reached out to me, and I did feel the love and the prayer and the positive thoughts. They really do make a difference, and they make a difference in this journey. And I'm really blessed to have experienced that during this time. Even though it was hard to go public about it a little bit, it was the right thing to do, and I'm really glad I did it. And October is a time to really hone in on the message, and I'm very proud to be a part of that message now, and to encourage people to get their mammograms and get it done.
Big thanks to Commissioner Schmidt for that very candid conversation about what she went through and what she hopes other women take away from the experience as well. And also interesting to hear how this gives her a very different perspective now on her job as insurance commissioner, although, as you heard her say, they can't mandate things from their office. They're a regulatory office. The regulations, the mandates, the rules, those come from the Kansas legislature, but they do encourage people to reach out to their consumer division if they have any questions, concerns, complaints, because they can assemble that information and make sure lawmakers have it if they ask the insurance office what the experiences of Kansans have been. Also, it should be noted, if you cannot afford a mammogram, talk to your provider. There are many places and resources across the country that can assist with that. In Shawnee and surrounding counties, we are fortunate to have the Race Against Breast Cancer organization, which provides free and low-cost mammography care. That website is rabctopeka.org. Reach out to them. They are there to help. Thank you so much for being with us for Eye on Northeast Kansas, the podcast. Remember, you can see the interviews with all of the guests we've had in the past week posted online on WIBW.com. I also put them on my Facebook page, which is WIBW Melissa Bruner, and of course, our WIBW 13 News YouTube channel. Be sure to click subscribe while you're there. Have a great week. We'll see you on the Red Couch.